What's going on, y'all? It's your man, Stephen Bardo, coming at you with another edition of Bardo's Breakdown. We've had a lot of games in the Big Ten last night and some things going on in the college basketball world that I wanted to touch on to alert you guys so that you stay in the know, where some things are going on that I want to touch on. But first, let me say this. Happy holidays. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm a little bit tired because I was in Champaign last night calling the Illini game versus Bethune-Cookman. Had a really good time with Jason Ross Jr. I think Jason is going to be one of the stars in our industry. Young play-by-play announcer, does an outstanding job. He's got a James Earl Jones voice. I mean, this deep, rich voice that he has, and he's very knowledgeable and very eager to be the best that he can be. So I really enjoyed working with Jason Ross Jr. last night. I've worked with him in the WNBA. I've worked with him in previous games, but to see a young talent, I believe Jason's 25, 26, something like that. But to see a young talent be at this level and have the future that he has coming up is fun to see. So just want to give my man Jason a shout out for what he's doing. Wanted to touch base with you because we had a lot of games last night and some surprising finishes in the Big Ten Conference. It was, I don't know, guys. This is going to be a season, I believe, unlike many others. We're going to see a lot of shifting, a lot of changes, a lot of surprising outcomes, I believe, just based on this new era of college basketball. With NIL, the transfer portal, it's a new day. It's a free agency day. And with free agency, there's not a lot of continuity baked in with programs that have players that stay and stick and stay in the program. And so without that continuity, we're starting to see some really wild finishes. So let me get into it. We got to show love to Purdue, the number one team in the country. They won as expected against Florida A&M, 82-49. Brandon Newman was outstanding, 18 points in 20 minutes off the bench. If Purdue can continue to get multiple efforts from guys like Brandon Newman, Trey Kaufman-Wren, Mason Gillis, I could just keep going on and on. This Purdue team, to me, is so solid and so good. And how Matt Painter has gotten people on the young men on his team to accept their roles. They've done that as well as any team in the country so far this season. Thus, they're the number one team in the country. So big ups to the Purdue Boilers for their victory last night over Florida A&M. Northwestern, Penn State, Ohio State, and Maryland win as expected. These were the last tune-up games before they get into the Big Ten gauntlet. Northwestern beats Brown in a surprisingly close score. Let me pull up the scoreboard just so I'm a little bit more accurate. Northwestern 63, Brown 58. Chase Audees is balling, y'all, 24 points. Penn State handled Delaware State 60-46. Seth Lundy had a double-double with 15 points and 10 rebounds. Ohio State handled their business against a pretty staunch Alabama A&M team, a big team, a little bit bigger than a normal SWAC opponent. But Ohio State did really well. And Bryce Sensenbaugh, the Big Ten Freshman of the Week, continues outstanding play, 21.6 rebounds in that victory. Maryland beats UMBC, a surprisingly pretty good UMBC team that was 9-4 coming into the game. But Maryland handled them 80-64. Jameer Young, 18 points and 7 rebounds. So those squads handled their business as expected with the tune-ups right before the Big Ten. Now, here come the surprises. And then Illinois won their game, but I want to go a little bit more in depth with that. So let me get to the surprising games. Nebraska, 66, Iowa, 50. All 5 Huskers scores were in double figures, led by Jawan Gary with 14 points. So the Hawkeyes had been struggling with injuries lately. So Chris Murray had been out. He missed 4 games. Connor McCaffrey was out the last game, I believe, with a wrist injury. Both of those guys played, and Chris Murray was pretty good with 17 points. But I'm telling you guys, man, the Big Ten is it's going to be a gauntlet. It's always a gauntlet. But outside of Minnesota, there's not any teams that you can point to and say, okay, we feel pretty good about this game. I'm dead serious. 13 places out of 14, if my number is right. Everyone except Minnesota, because of their inexperience, the reliance on transfers. They had some serious injuries there, but Ben Johnson will get that team competitive, but they're young. And they seem to be the team that doesn't seem on the level of all the other Big Ten programs because, man, night in, night out, I'm telling you, unlike any conference, maybe Big East, but outside of that, Big Ten, Big East, there's no other conferences that night in, night out that you are going into the game thinking like, man, if we don't show up, we could seriously get beat. This is a great example. The Huskers, ladies and gentlemen, they're an interesting team because they go on the road and beat Creighton, which was ranked at the time. They beat them by double digits. Then they come back and lose to Kansas State. I'm not saying Kansas State is not a good team, but they haven't been on the national radar, at least in my opinion. So Nebraska plays really well, and then they stub their toe. Then they go to Indiana, and they don't have Sam Griesel, one of their best players, and they're competitive, but Indiana handles them. Then they come back and beat an Iowa team by 16 and have all 5 guys in double figures. So that was a shocker to me. The biggest shocker, however, is Central Michigan going into Ann Arbor and beating Michigan on a late 3 by Reggie Bass, 63-61. And Michigan just trying to find their way with some of the injuries that they had. They lost their starting point guard for the season. Jalen Llewellyn is out, and so they're still trying to figure out their way. The issue here, what it appears, is that Hunter Dickinson only got 9 shot attempts. He was 3 of 9 from the field. He ended up with 13 points. Jet Howard and Kobe Buffkin had pretty good numbers in 12. Howard had 12, Buffkin had 16, but they were a combined 10 of 28 from the field. So Michigan kind of struggling shooting the basketball, 35%, 6 of 22 from 3, only 27% from 3. So the Wolverines continue to struggle and try to find their way with adjustment to their lineup. And could be a long season for the Wolverines if they can't right the ship with some losses in the non-conference. They've played a tough schedule, no doubt about that. They went out and tested themselves. It's going to be interesting to see how they can navigate the Big Ten slate, having some tough losses in the non-conference, especially this one. The Illini rebound last night to beat Bethune-Cookman 85-62. Dane Danger was outstanding. I wasn't surprised that he had a career high because Jeff Alexander, one of the assistants, and Brad Underwood stated that Dane Danger had his best week of practice. And when you practice the way that they say he did, this is the result. Comes out with a double-double. With a career high 22 points. And Coleman Hawkins, 11 points, 11 rebounds. Coleman Hawkins, the game comes so easy to him. I mean, he had a double-double, and it didn't look like he broke a sweat. He's so skilled. And I think he's starting to understand that he's trying to make the spectacular play a lot. And yesterday it seemed like he settled down. I still think he's questioning when he should shoot and when he shouldn't shoot. But when he's in the flow of the game, man, he is so skilled. So he made it look easy last night. The Illini had better effort. Sincere Harris got his first career start. I was really pleased to see that because that young man works his tail off. I think that his energy really helped the Illini get out of the gate quickly. Obviously, Bethune-Cookman is not doesn't match up well with Illinois. So we'll see if the Illini can continue their thrust with this improved starts to the game with some energy. Sincere did a good job with that. Sky Clark was out with a shoulder injury, and Jaden Epps was coming off the bench. And I like what Brad Underwood is doing. He went back to, I don't think it's a swing offense. I can't remember the exact term for it, but he was running it when he first came to Illinois when he left Oklahoma State. And it's a continuity offense that is familiar. It's starts on one side, you hit the big at the elbow, and then the offense swings to the weak side. The weak side becomes a strong side. And it's just a continuity offense. You've seen Illinois run it in years past when Brad first got to Illinois. And he implemented it last night to get movement on the offensive end for the Illini, because previously they were having stretches, 5-6 minute stretches of going scoreless and really standing around. And so I like what Brad Underwood was doing in terms of implementing this continuity offense to get a lot more ball movement, player movement, and moving the defense and not being so stagnant. And I think that the Illini scored 85 points and Dane Danger was outstanding. So I like what I saw from that. And obviously it's going to take guys time to understand what's needed there. It's not going to happen overnight because this is a new group. But I like what I saw, and I think that they can continue to improve on that offensive execution with a set or a shell of an offense. It's not like they don't have to definitely use it every time, but it gets them into something that gets them moving. I liked what I saw from Matthew Meyer. He wasn't as aggressive as maybe he could have been offensively, but he was looking for his teammates as well. He averaged 18 points over his last 4 games, so he's playing the best basketball of his career. I think it's being overshadowed by the way the Illini as a team have played recently, but he is playing outstanding basketball. So, I know a lot of the Illini faithful thought the sky was falling after that Mizzou game, and it was a disappointing performance. However, Brad Underwood gave me something that I've been putting out a little bit on social media. If you were to take the resume for last season, the Big Ten Conference champions, and this season at the same juncture after Christmas, which one would you take? And so last night on the broadcast, our crew, Carol Langley, our producer, did a fantastic job with our director and graphics people of putting up a resume. It was a basic situation, but it gave people something to look at. And it gave the net from last season at this point to this season. Obviously, the net was better last year because they didn't play the non-conference slate that Illinois played this season. Illinois has 2 of the best wins in the country, 2 top 10 wins with UCLA and Texas. Illinois' best win last season at this juncture was Iowa. Remember, they got smacked by Cincinnati and Kansas City. They lost to Arizona. They really didn't play as challenging of a non-conference slate last season as they did this season. Because this season, he knew he was going to have new players, and he figured he was going to be without Kofi. So you got to test yourself, similar to what Michigan State does, similar to what other schools do. And so I know the Illini faithful thought the sky was falling, but if you look at the defensive numbers from the Illini, the one glaring area that they really need to clean up, they're last in the Big Ten in turnovers. That's going to hurt them, and they're last in free throw percentage. Those 2 are going to be key. They've got to improve on those. But they're still top 25 defensively in the nation, field goal percentage defense. That's even after the Missouri game. So have faith, the Illini faithful. The sky's not falling. This team is well positioned, even though they're 0-2 in the Big Ten. They're very well positioned to have a similar run as we saw last season. Okay? So the Illini have to take care of business in January, because in February, their road schedule is brutal. Let's see if I can pull that up really quickly and just verbalize it as opposed to putting it up in a graphic. I know that probably would have been better, but their schedule in January is manageable. So got a tough one at Northwestern. That's going to be a tough game, January 4th. They got Wisconsin at home. They go to Nebraska, which, as you see, is not a gimme. That's a tough game. They got Michigan State at home. I'm on the call. I believe it's a Fox FS1 game at Minnesota on Martin Luther King, a holiday on the 16th. Then I'm at Illinois again for Westwood One Radio versus Indiana on the 19th at home. They got Ohio State at home on the 24th. They go to Wisconsin on the 28th. And then they have Nebraska at home on the 31st. But then here's where it gets really crucial. They have to go to Iowa. They have to go to Penn State. They have to go to Indiana. They have to go to Ohio State. And they finish at Purdue. Let me run that back again. They got to go to Iowa. They have to go to Penn State. They go to Indiana. They go to Ohio State, and they go to Purdue. They end the regular season at Purdue January 5th. So the Illini need to make hay here in January coming up if they want to be in contention for a Big Ten title, because it gets real in February for the Illini. All right. So that's the talk for Big Ten talk. Let me get a sip here and show you Flying Illini fans my tumbler. This is a great gift. I know it's past Christmas, but we're in college basketball season. Whatever it comes in, it stays. So meaning you put coffee, tea, it stays hot for hours. You put something cold like I did, some water, some juice, whatever, it stays cold. You got a metal straw, which is environmentally friendly. You see the link down there, shopcustomizeit.com. Shop customize with a K, so that's shop customizeit.com. Go get yours today, y'all. Don't be left out. All right, this is a disturbing situation that not a lot of people have known about. I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but there was a lawsuit by a former player at Coppin State. His name is Eben Williams. He's now currently playing at Morehouse and doing quite well, actually. But he got involved in a nasty situation at Coppin State. It involves head coach Juan Dixon. It involves an assistant coach that Juan Dixon hired. And I'm not going to go into detail, but I encourage you guys to go look it up because it's disturbing. And the only reason I bring it up is because Coppin State plays at Rutgers tonight. So you all, if hearing this, will probably be a little bit more aware of the situation than a lot of people around the country, because it has not become a national story, but it will, because it's one of the more bizarre situations that we've seen in college athletics in some time. So I encourage you to go look that up. It's on Twitter right now. The national coverage has not picked it up yet, but it's only a matter of time. So I'm glad that young man, Eben Williams, has found a new home. He's been embraced by Morehouse, but it's a very ugly situation, very predatorial in its nature. And I just, it's sickening. And so go look it up. All right, let me get to my people here. I appreciate you guys jumping on. I know it was a weird time, but I wanted to get this up and be a little bit more, instead of just doing the Monday show, which I'm always going to do, but I want to come and give a quick update. So Aaron Janowski, this is my man, one of the best public address announcers in the business. And maybe you guys haven't heard of him yet, but you will. Aaron is moving up and doing his thing. What's up, Jonathan Taylor? Good to see Snacks in the house. Peoria's finest. Jarence Howard came back to Champaign for the first time in 10 years. He was able to bring his family down. His son was at shoot around, and his family, his wife and his daughter, his son, were all at the game last night. So it was great to see Jarence, a.k.a. Snacks Howard, back in State Farm Center last night. Do you think that affects how coaches treat players? Be a little bit more, expand on that a little bit, Aaron, what you're talking about. Andrew Moody, what's going on? Moody Sports. My man in the house. Is Northwestern the real deal? Can they finish top 5 in the Big Ten this year? They are the real deal, Andrew. I expect Northwestern to be a NCAA tournament team. I'm going to go ahead and say it, because the way that they play defense travels. So they won't have, when you can play defense the way that Northwestern does, your splits, meaning how well you play on the road and how well you play at home, a lot of times you'll see the splits will be a lot different. But the way that Northwestern plays defense, I think they'll be a little bit more consistent on the road and at home. They've already got a conference win at Michigan State. Not an easy place to get a victory. And it was a good victory. It wasn't in question. They had control of the game down the stretch. So this team is for real. Andrew Moody. Now, finishing in the top 5 of the Big Ten, I'd say that's a stretch because I just don't know that they have the offensive balance to be an elite Big Ten team. But I definitely think they could be in the upper echelon. I don't know about top 5, but they could definitely be in the top 7, top 8, which to me would make them an NCAA tournament team based on the number of top 50 net opportunities that they will get each and every night in the Big Ten Conference. But they are definitely legit. Great question, Andrew, and I hope you're doing well, my man. I bet you're home from your break at Clemson University. Andrew Moody is a budding media superstar. Check him out on Zoomer Sports on Instagram and on TikTok. He does really, really creative, good work around his sports platforms. Okay. Yes, I've heard that, Aaron. I'm not quite as well versed in that, in who the Illini are targeting right now, but I need to be. So thank you for that. And I will definitely look that up. Let's see. Andrew Moody, some college basketball media keeps putting this narrative out there that the Illini are having problems with team chemistry on the court and in the locker room. Is that just a bunch of noise or nonsense? No, I think, Andrew, and this is a great point. I think the Illini team is a microcosm of what's going on in college basketball, right? When you look at the way that college basketball has been structured the last 40 years, it's really about bringing guys in freshman year, developing them within a system, getting them used to being in the program, what the expectations are, whatever conference that you play in, starting to know the tendencies of a Michigan State, an Ohio State, a Michigan, a Penn State, a Maryland, Rutgers, Nebraska. If you're in the program for years, you start to understand the tendencies of these different programs, of the conference opponents that you're going to play. And you start to understand what your coaches expected of you. But when you have the transfer portal and you have free agency, it's very difficult to develop trust. So the Illini team, like a lot of teams, are trying to establish trust. Think about it, Andrew. Let me give you an example. This is great. It just came to me. Let's say me and you, Andrew, are going to play pickup basketball, and we go to an unfamiliar gym, not a gym that we normally go to where some of the same people come in and play a lot, where you know their tendencies. And so if you're playing with them, you know that this dude can't shoot, but he can cut and he can get to the bucket. So when he's on a three-point line, you don't give it to him because he can't shoot. But if he's cutting to the basket, you give it to him because that's his area of strength. The Illini and teams like the Illini with a bunch of new faces are trying to find out where you're good in the situations. And the Illini have so much talent. They almost have too much talent. And Brad Underwood and his staff had to figure out how to get guys minutes and keep them happy. So if you're an RJ Melendez, let's see how many shots RJ Melendez got last night, because it's telling. If you're a shooter and you're in a situation like the Illini are, some nights it's going to be your night, but other nights you're not going to get a chance to shoot that much. So, RJ had eight attempts, but he was 1 of 8. That's a lot of attempts. I thought he had more attempts than I had anticipated that he'd have. So if you're a shooter, you got to expect at least 6 to 8 shots a game to find your feel, to get your rhythm, to know where you're going to get your shots. That's very difficult if you're a team that has 9, 10 new guys, right? And players stepping up in different positions. So if you're playing pickup each and every night with you've got your team, you went through your preseason routine. You are now, let's see, Illinois has 13 games under their belt. but you're still playing pickup because you're still seeing different teams do different things to you. And so what does Terrence Shannon do when they deny him the basketball on the perimeter? Does he cut back door? Does he go post up? You got to figure those things out. And the only way you could do it is in game situations, right? So I don't think that Illinois has any more team chemistry issues than anybody else that's dealing with a bunch of different new players, new turnover. Illinois returned something like 12% of their scoring from last year. That's incredible. And the fact that they got 2 top 10 wins in the country, the Illini team are a great example of the current landscape of college basketball. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to be great highs, and then sometimes it's going to be really, really low. But I guess the norm, or the regress to the mean, so to speak, where will the Illini regress to the means? We'll find out in the first 10, about the first 8 games of the Big Ten slate. We'll figure out where the Illini are. But great question, Andrew, as always. I don't think that Illinois has any more chemistry issues than any other team with that type of turnover. They have more turnover than almost anybody in the country. And yet they've been nationally ranked and they've got 2 top 10 wins. So I think that they're going to be fine. There's obviously, when you have a team that has this much talent, there's going to be some guys that are not going to be happy, because all the players that came from their respective situations, whether it was high school or whether it was Matthew Meyer coming from national champion Baylor, whether it was Terrence Shannon coming from an outstanding Texas Tech program, it takes time to figure these things out. And so I like that the national media is bringing this up, because this is a great example of what's happening in college basketball. And Illinois is no different from any other team that has a tremendous amount of turnover. Melendez needs to drive more, then he can fade out to the 3 more. Got to get going first. That's Jonathan Taylor, I think that's an old school way of thinking, and I agree with you. My father used to tell me all the time, get a layup first. See the ball go through the hole early. Get on the offensive glass and get an offensive putback. Then you kind of relax. Once you see the ball go through the hole, you relax. You can get into your defensive stance. You can do different things, and then the game comes to you a lot easier. But if you're pressing, like you're talking about, Jonathan, RJ's looking for the 3 first, and you missed that first 3. Now you're pressing. He was 1 of 8 from the field last night. He didn't have a lot of opportunities at the rim. Most of his opportunities were from the perimeter, and he's got great size from the perimeter. So I agree with you. I'd like to see him maybe not only drive more or earlier in the game, but get on the offensive glass. Fight your teammate for an offensive glass if you have to, but have that aggressiveness going for the rock to get that bucket at the rim, right? These guys, and it's not necessarily their fault. College basketball players model and emulate NBA players, but here's the difference. When college players have to go to class, they got to go to study hall and training table and all that. The pros can go and shoot for hours. They can go work on their game. And so the pros get 2, 3, 4 times more work than college players can get in. It's just the nature of the schedule. And so a pro can come off the bench because pros can shoot 150 shots before a game sometimes. Sometimes they'll get 50, 100, 150 shots up before the game. So they're already loose, slathered up. They got their eye. They're locked in on their range. They can come off the bench and shoot a NBA 3 as their first shot with no problem because their muscle memory is so good. They've done that. But college players think that they can do the same thing. They don't have the same muscle memory that pro players have. So that's very good advice, Jonathan. Thank you for that. Hey, Jack, how you doing? I think this is your first time on. Welcome. Appreciate you joining Bardo's Breakdown. Always heard about you growing up from my dad. The bench itself was more involved from the beginning with Chance. They seemed to play more as a team last night. Well, yeah, Jack, they got embarrassed. And when you get embarrassed, the spotlight comes on you, and now you have to put a good feeling forward. You have to your body language has to be better. You have to be more connected because they know that they have to build different habits. See, the thing of it is, fan bases get upset when there are losses like that. But in my career as a player, in my career as a broadcaster, I've seen it over the last 30 plus years. After a very painful and embarrassing loss, you can get growth. Because now, when Coach Underwood says something to them, they can't just brush it off. Oh man, I'm not trying to hear that. We beat Texas. We beat UCLA. I'm not trying to hear that. Oh, but Jalen Pickett came and wore you out. And Penn State wore you out at home. And then you go to Missouri and get worn out. So now Coach has your attention and he can get after you. And so if the body language was poor before last night's game, that's something that they're going to address. So that's very, very astute, Jack. That's a good observation. Well said. Andrew Eisfeld, good to see you, Andrew. How you doing, my man? Hope all's well. Happy holidays to you. Floyd Anderson, awesome announcer of the Illini team, Mr. Bardo, a.k.a. Illini Steve. Happy New Year, big fella. Thank you, Floyd Anderson. Happy New Year to you as well. I hope you and your family are doing quite well. How do I get one? Simeon, you can go, let's see, you can go to shopcustomizeit.com. And there's a link right there. When you come to that page, you go right to the page. I think they're $20. I'm partnering with a lady that's like my sister, and she makes these and does a fantastic job. And so make sure you go check this out. Very reasonable price, but a great product, and I love it. And it's cool. It's cool to look at, and I need to start taking it with me because whenever somebody's seen it, they tend to like it. So go to shopcustomizeit.com. All right, let me come back. Oh boy, it lit up here. I thought I was going to come on quickly, and it lit up. Andrew Eisfeld, Illini players meeting made a difference. Question mark. Good question. When you have so many new guys and they're in new positions, Illinois plays 5 freshmen. 5 freshmen get regular minutes for the Illini. That's a lot of youth. So players meetings are good when you have a leader. And this Illini team seems like they've struggled a little bit with leadership. And why shouldn't they? Who's been around for a while? RJ Melendez, Luke Goody. Now, Luke Goody's a very good leader, but he's been hurt. So leadership is limited when you're not on the floor. So when you have a players only meeting, you can get some stuff out in the open. You can talk about some things. You can come clean with your teammates, and then you have a renewed understanding, because self-awareness is the first step to improvement. You have to be self-aware that there needs to be a change. And if you don't like this outcome, i.e. Penn State, i.e. Missouri, then what are you going to do to change it? Self-awareness is the first step in that. And so a players meeting, that's a good thing. So let's see if it continues, Andrew, because sometimes players meetings are good, but then they forget what they came to a conclusion on. So it'll be interesting. Danny West, starting Danger last night looked to work well for us. Do you agree? Look, I agree. Here's the thing. I think sometimes this Illini team falls in love with the three-point shot, because you got Terrence Shannon, who came out the gate blazing from 3. Matthew Myers, a very accomplished three-point shooter, shot maker. Coleman Hawkins is a very good shooter when his head is right and when he's locked in on understanding when to shoot and when to pass and when not to be Tragic Johnson, when he's trying to be too much of a playmaker and he ends up penetrating too deeply and getting it turned over, getting it ripped. And so I think sometimes it's Illini team, and it's not just the Illini team. It's all teams in college basketball. They fall in love with the 3 because they're watching NBA teams who fall in love with the 3, all the pace and space, right? So I think starting Dane was great because Dane had his best week of practice, and Brad Underwood is starting to reward the players. I'm going to look at practice, and whoever is balling in practice, that's who's going to get the start. So I know Sky Clark got hurt last night, but I thought it was a great idea to start Sincere Harris and Dane Danger because those guys play with high motors. And when the Illini have been in trouble, it appears like they're not playing with high motors. So I liked what I saw last night. Arctic Canvas, thoughts on Michigan. Sorry if you talked about it already. No, that's fine, Arctic. Thank you for joining. I see this is your first time. Thank you for joining Bardo's Breakdown. I appreciate it. I feel bad for Michigan. They're young like the Illini. Now they have a lot more players that have been in their program, but they're in new roles. Kobe Buffkin is in a you're the man role. Jet Howard is a freshman, an outstanding freshman, but he's yet still a freshman that played 38 minutes last night. It was 4 of 14 from the field. There's a lot of pressure on him. Hunter Dickinson gets 9 attempts. Now, I'm sure Central Michigan is a very good defensive team because generally those MAC schools do a really good job defensively. So I'm sure they were swarming him and doubling him every time he got the basketball. But he's your best player. He's got to get more than 9 attempts if you're going to be consistently have a chance to win games. Okay? Also, Michigan got bludgeoned on the glass. I believe Central Michigan was a plus 14 on the glass. That can't happen. They've got to be a little bit more competitive on the glass. So, and again, Jalen Llewellyn's loss on paper did not look huge, but this is a graduate transfer from Princeton. He was a top 100 recruit out of high school. Jalen Llewellyn is a player. Good size, 6'3", 6'4" at the point guard position. With all that, he had 110 career games before he got to Michigan. You can't replace that. Doug McDaniel is going to be outstanding, but Doug McDaniel is a diminutive point guard. He's got some stuff with him now. He got game. He's tough, but he's a freshman. And freshmen are going to do this, right? Look at Braden Smith at Purdue. Look at Fletcher Lawyer of Purdue. They've started to it's the nature of freshmen in Power 5 conferences. Unless you're outstanding, a future pro, you're not going to come in and dominate at this level as a freshman. So Michigan, like other teams, have players that were complementary players. Now they're in main roles, and that takes time to get it adjusted to. And so I'm feeling for them. I'm feeling for Juwan Howard trying to figure out what this team is going to look like because Michigan is going to have their work cut out for them to be an NCAA tournament team. Thank you, Arctic Canvas. Appreciate you joining. Aaron Champion. What's up, Aaron? Whole new day in college sports with Transfer Portal. Aaron, I'm telling you that it's fascinating. And it's going to be an adjustment for fan bases, just like it's an adjustment for the college coaches. If you guys had privy to the information that I get, and I'm going to start sharing that with people on the tribe, which I've already started to do. If you want to be a member of the tribe, this is the inner circle of Bardo's Breakdown. Text me to 312-847-2739. To the tribe yesterday, I showed them a video of me walking through the tunnel. And bump this, man. I'm not on Big Ten Network or Fox Sports. I'm walking in the House of Pain, Assembly Hall. I hate calling it a State Farm Center because, hell, State Farm ain't giving me no damn free insurance. Why we gotta say the name? I ain't getting nothing out of it. That's Assembly Hall. That's the House of Pain, right? That I was associated with for 4 years. That I helped build the program and tradition there. So I showed a video on my phone walking through the tunnel and talking about my memories of walking through the tunnel coming out on the court before anybody else got there. This was before shoot around. I had the place to myself. Then I walked up to the top of Assembly Hall and took a picture of the court. It's a sweet shot, and I showed this to the tribe. So if you want to be a member of the tribe, text me 312-847-2739. Yes, Aaron, it's a new day. And so I'll share with you some things that I hear if you're in the inner circle. I'm not going to put it out there because I got to protect the coaches, and I have to paraphrase some of the things they say, and I'm always going to protect them. and the players. I have to protect them. I can't just be giving out all the goods, but I will give you enough to make you more informed than someone that's not in the tribe with Bardo's breakdown. So yes, it's a new day, but you know what? Just like the coaches are adjusting, the fan bases have to adjust too. And so you're going to see some weird results that you don't expect. But isn't that great? Because to me, that's making college basketball more exciting. Instead of the common general fan coming on after all the college football is over, people need to start paying attention from day one, because now you have so much change. You have so many new faces that you need to tune in from the start of college basketball to be knowledgeable about what's happening once you hit conference play, which we're about to embark on here shortly. Laura Leishman, athletic director at University of Illinois Springfield, says, does NIL portal create constant auditioning for next team, not commitment to where you are? Ooh. Laura Leishman dropping bars over here, y'all. That's a bar. Constant auditioning for the next team. So there's a saying, do you have 2 feet in? Or do you have 1 foot out trying to figure out what the next step is? Young people get caught up like adults do. It's not just college athletes. It's adults too. You got to have 2 feet in to get the most out of the present. That's why they call it the present. It's a present to be in the moment, to experience it. And to be a college basketball player at the level of Power 5, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. It's amazing. It's a privilege. And so if you're not 2 feet in, people like me, coaches, NBA scouts, overseas scouts, we see it immediately. We know something's wrong. We may not know exactly what's wrong, but we know something's off. We know that you're not totally in, right? And so what Laura's referring to is, if you don't have both feet in where you are, it's going to show. It's going to show up. Your teammates will figure it out. Your coaching staff will see it. So, unfortunately, NIL and the portal transfer, the transfer portal situation, has given freedom to the college athlete that has been long overdue. So a lot of times we respond too much to something that's been needed to happen for a long time. So maybe we go too far, right? And college basketball and college athletics in particular had no choice because they didn't get any help from Congress. I know they're trying to get this antitrust situation worked out, and they were looking to Congress to help them figure this landscape out. And so it's the wild, wild west right now. So Laura makes a great point that auditioning for the next team and no commitment to where you are is an issue. It's a big time issue. I think it was the main issue for North Carolina early in the season. Now it seems like they've righted the ship. They've won 4 in a row, I believe, and they're starting to round into the team that most people think at the beginning of the preseason was the national championship title contender, probably the favorite, odds-on favorite. I believe it was North Carolina to start the season. But it seems as though now those guys have both feet in. So great point, Laura. Thank you, and happy holidays to you. David Gertzmeyer, Purdue takes care of business, and Braden Smith getting older with every start. Yes, no problem handling pressure. Right. So Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer's production will do this. They'll be consistent because Matt Painter won't stand for anything less than being hard-nosed and tough on the defensive end. Because if you lack on the defensive end, believe me, David Jenkins, the transfer from Utah, he's more than capable of coming in and starting. He's more than capable of coming in and running that show. He was an all Pac-12 performer at Utah. So David Jenkins can go get it, y'all. He can score. He can run the show. But Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, they're going to be up and down. But Matt Painter saw something in them, as did Brandon Brantley, Paul Lusk, the coaching staff at Purdue. They saw something in these freshman guards that they said, look, if we can ride with them early, get them accustomed to the heat early. Once they get in the Big Ten, go through the first half of the Big Ten and get their feet wet and get that heat on them, and they get comfortable with it. By the end of the Big Ten slate, if these guys go through what I think they can go through, Purdue is going to be rough, y'all. Ooh, they're going to be rough. I know they're number one team in the country, but I'm looking at postseason. I'm looking at Big Ten Conference tournament. I'm looking at NCAA tournament. These freshmen, boy, I'm telling you, Purdue's going to be rough. They're going to be rough in the tournament. Takes longer to gel together. Before a team was set for 4 years, you knew year to year pretty much who was on your team, and the opposing team now fluctuate like fluid year to year. No doubt about it. Sure enjoy following you. You're the best. Happy New Year, kid. Thank you very much, Facebook user. I appreciate it. Derek Tyshawn Breland. What's up, Derek? Good to see you. That's why I don't like the idea to build from the portal. You can't get them to buy into the culture. With an 18-year-old freshman, they will buy into culture. The portal 50-year seniors looking to how to get the bag. Derek, yes. And I'm not disagreeing with you. However, you may not like the idea, but it's here, and it's not going anywhere. This is the new era of college basketball. And so from a traditionalist standpoint, and Derek Tyshawn Breland is a basketball man. He's been involved with the game all his life. I think he works kids out. I know his son is a player. He understands this. And so we have these, guys in my age group in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, the way that the game was, it's not like that anymore. And so I'm not saying that you're wrong, Derek, but I like to deal in reality. And the reality is that this is here, and it's not going anywhere. We need to adjust. Everybody else needs to adjust because that ruling is not going anywhere. Does it give some of the smaller schools who keep their players for 4 years a bit of an advantage early in the year, hence highs and lows? Not only at the beginning of the year, also at the end of the year come tournament time, Aaron. That's what we're seeing in the last few tournaments. That's why St. Peter's could go on a run that like they did, because those guys, they're locked in. They don't have to say anything. They got nonverbal communication down. When you've had a teammate for 3 years, you don't have to. You can look at him and see like, oh man, he's mad about his girlfriend. Oh man, he must have been out too late last night. He's not running the floor like he normally does. Wait a minute, he didn't fight through that pick. What's wrong with you? So, Aaron, it's not only early in the year, it's going to happen in the tournament. Trust me. You're going to get these teams, an Oral Roberts, a Belmont, a Murray State, a Drake, an Illinois State, a Bradley, Loyola, some A-10 teams who have had players in for 3 or 4 years. Baby, they're going to be tough outs come tournament time. Trust me. Andrew Moody, I believe the Illini have the highest ceiling in the Big Ten, but some games like Mizzou or Penn State, they just get outplayed, which will happen when you play this gauntlet of a schedule. It isn't football where you can schedule a cupcake the week before a big game or after a big game. Great point. Great points. And I agree with you in terms of studs who can go get you a bucket. I believe the Illini have Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer. RJ Melendez has struggled, but I believe he could develop into a guy who could go get you a bucket. Jay Neps can go get you a bucket already. That freshman, he can go get you one. Dane Danger he showed last night with a career high, he can score as well. So I do believe they have the highest ceiling, but will they gel in time to reach that potential? That's my question, Andrew. Great question, though. I don't like the idea of, yep. Okay. What is Lowell Hamilton doing these days? Lowell Hamilton is in, let me get this right, Greenwood, Georgia. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours north of Atlanta. He's in northern Georgia. He's a physical therapist, and he's also an assistant high school basketball coach. And he's very, very happy. Lowell Hamilton is one of the best looking men that you'll ever see. And when he smiles, it lights up a city. And the last time that I saw Lowell, he was content. He's He's happy with his marriage and his family. He's happy with serving people in the physical therapy realm and serving those young people that he coaches. And he seems like he's living his best life. So Lowell Hamilton is doing great. He looks like he can still play. And he's such a Lowell is such a positive energy. He's got such a beautiful light about him that I love being around him. And so you see me light up talking about him. So he's doing quite well, Curtis. Thanks for that. I appreciate you asking about these Illini legends. Curtis Dietz. Ooh, now this is a good one. Now, thank you for reminding me of this. I got to look this up because Mike Rodolfo is one of the best stats people in the business. If I'm so lucky to get on a national level more than I am right now, where I can afford to travel a statistician, Mike Rodolfo would definitely be. There's another statistician in Milwaukee that I would consider, but those two are the guys that I would consider great stats guys. Ethan Cooperstein, I think I said that right. He's one of the best in the business. He's Jim Nance's guy. I can't afford him. And I don't know if I could afford Mike Rodolfo, but Mike Rodolfo is a beast. He is one of the best sports stats guys in the business. Does a great job. But he gave me something last night that was outstanding, and I want to share it with you guys. Let's see if I okay. He gave me a note. He says Stephen Bardo at Illinois during his 4 years had a 56-6 home record. One non-conference home loss in 4 years. That one non-conference loss was to North Carolina. J.R. Reed torched us for 30 points. Couldn't do nothing with the big fella. He wore us out. That was the only non-conference loss we had at home. The 6 home losses in my 4 years at Illinois, all 6 teams were ranked. And those are Big Ten teams. And remember, during that 4-year stint, the last 2 years alone, there were 17 NBA draft picks in the Big Ten. So Mike Rodolfo came up with a great stat that I like to use. So Curtis D says, Bardo, what was your most embarrassing loss? I remember an Iowa home game where you guys had a huge halftime lead, 22 points. And I think it might have been 22 points lead in 1987. Man, dang, Curtis, you taking me. I'm going to use this as therapy because I get so mad about that game. We're kicking Iowa's behind. Dr. Tom Davis has that press. Roy Marble at the top. Jeff Moe, B.J. Armstrong, Brad Lohaus. No, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. Back up. That was Roy Marble, Kevin Gamble, Bill Jones. Jeff Moe was on that team. Iowa had a whip, and we were kicking their tail, 61-39, I believe, at the beginning of the second half. Them jokers got us into overtime and end up winning something like 80, was it 92-88 or something wild. That press, we were scoring the first half. We were shooting layups, dunks. Second half, we got tired, and they started getting steals, and they got the momentum. We got to overtime, and they had all the momentum, and they beat us at home. So that was one of those 6 losses. Thanks for the memory, Curtis. No, I appreciate you bringing that up. That's good stuff. Kevin Duffy, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Kevin Duffy's a tribe member, one of the original tribe members. He's been rocking with me since day one. This is my man right here. Happy holidays to you, Kevin. Good to see you, brother. Oh, there's no doubt about that, Andrew Moody. That was one of the reasons why Brad Underwood constructed his roster the way that he did, because he wanted to have deeper runs in March Madness. They look, they're always going to go for Big Ten conference championships, but we understand that the Big Ten needs a breakthrough at some point on the national level in tournament time. Too much one-on-one play still. They got better last night, though. They got better last night. They certainly gelled last night. Thomas Dagley, tribe member, glad Dane and Sincere started last night. It made a difference. I agree. The game after UCLA would have been a good time to start Harris because why not? He's busting butt in practice and games. No doubt about it. But I don't question Brad Underwood and his staff, ladies and gentlemen, because I get a bird's eye view. And I was a player under Lou Henson and his staff and various other coaching staffs at the pro level. The coaches know these guys, and they know that they're in practice every day. They know what's happening. So there was a reason why Harris and Dane weren't Sincere and Dane weren't starting. They got to start last night. You saw the result. Sean Rawl. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, man. Central Michigan is good. Beat Michigan without star player Kevin Boopy Miller, Chicago native. Okay. Thanks for that heads up, Sean. I'm going to check them out. They defensively, they cut the water off from Michigan last night. Thank you, Thomas. I enjoy calling the Illini games. I know some of the fans don't like when I call Illinois fans, but that's okay. Thank you, though, Thomas. Let's see. Hey, I love Rodgers. I love Ty Rodgers. Offensively, his jump shot is broken. He doesn't have a lot of confidence. His form is not good. But if he has patience, the Illinois coaching staff is one of the best player developmental programs in the country. That's the reason. It's a big reason why Ty Rodgers came to Illinois. So if he's patient and he gets that jump shot worked out, he's a pro. He does everything well. He can run the point at 6'7". He's strong. He loves to defend. He can rebound. He's a really good passer. It's just his offense hasn't caught up, but that's okay because regardless of NIL and transfer portal, college is still the developmental level. These guys aren't finished products. They're still developing. So I'm hoping that he has patience because to me, he's a future pro. Hoop Scoop. What's up, Hoop Scoop? Great question. Who are the top 5 players in the Big Ten? Wow. Okay. Zach Edey, Chris Murray at Iowa, Jalen Pickett at Penn State. I throw Terrence Shannon Jr., Illinois, in there. And that last one's tough. I want to say Hunter Dickinson. But it might be Trace Jackson Davis. It could be, hell, it could be Chase Aldeej from Northwestern the way he's playing. So current top 5, let's go current top 5. Hold on, y'all. Current top 5, Jalen Pickett, Penn State, Zach Edey, Purdue, Chris Murray, even though he was injured the last 4 games, comes off 4-game absence and drops 17 at Nebraska. That's pretty good. Chris Murray at Iowa, Terrence Shannon, Illinois, and I might throw Bryce Sensenbaugh in there right now, currently. So that would be mine right now. But great question, Hoop Scoop. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Hey, what's up, Melissa? Good to see you again. Thanks for joining. Is it me or Terrence Shannon Jr. looked all world the first month of the season? Even Franz Fraschilla was like he may have played himself into lottery, and since he has been shaky. Thoughts on him? Well, I think what happens, Melissa, is that when players like Terrence Shannon, he put so much work in the offseason. He really was shooting the 3 at a high clip, and it was setting up his whole game. So what happens is when teams get multiple game film on you, they can look at your tendencies and try to take away your first and second options. So now what Terrence Shannon is starting to do is starting to understand that when he catches on the 3, people are really closing on him. And when he's starting to drive, people are, they're bringing an extra defender. So he's figuring out how to navigate this. And Brad Underwood is making an emphasis on inserting plays on the offensive end to get Terrence Shannon looks and to get Matthew Meyer looks. So as opposed to the continuity offense, sometimes you're going to see plays called that are specifically generated to get Terrence Shannon looks. So I think he's still one of the top 5 players in the league. I think his potential. He's one of the better pro prospects in the league. So I think he'll be okay. But great question, and thank you for that. Thank you, Floyd. Let's see. Let me go to somebody else that I haven't hit yet. Coach Davis, what's going on, man? It will always be Assembly Hall for lifers. Just like honoring the chief. We will never forget. Much love. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you, my man. What's up, Mike O'Connor? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. King Tao. What's good, King? Thank you, man. Heard you on the broadcast last night. I like how you big upped Ed Reed getting hired at Bethune-Cookman. Man, I love that. Listen, HBCUs have been down a long time. Deion Sanders gave the blueprint. Hire former professional athletes at HBCUs to attract talented players to come in, help rebuild those programs, help fundraise. HBCUs struggle from a fundraising standpoint. Reggie Theus, Mo Williams, who is the men's basketball coach at Jackson State, former NBA player. We're starting to see that now. Ed Reed was one of my favorite NFL football players. He was a beast. So if Ed Reed is now the head football coach at Bethune-Cookman, right, and Reggie Theus, the head basketball coach at Bethune-Cookman, and also the athletic director, now that helps with their fundraising. That helps them get fundraising to improve their facilities, because HBCUs are losing players because of facilities. A lot of these players are very interested in putting an HBCU in one of their top 5 programs, but they don't. A lot of the HBCUs can't compete from a facility standpoint and an NIL standpoint. They can't compete. But when you bring an Ed Reed in, that opens up that makes people sit up and pay attention. That makes alums really excited. That makes people who may be in position to fundraise and help build up these programs. It's big. So I love the move, and I'm a big Ed Reed fan. I'm pulling for those guys. I hope they do very, very well. Eric Boo Man Johnson. What's up, Boo Man? Malik Hall returns from Michigan State tonight versus Buffalo. What's this Michigan State team ceiling to you? Do they lack a star player? I think this is going to be, knock on wood, that Michigan State stays healthy. I think this could be one of Tom Izzo's best teams in the last 5 to 6 years. I really, really do. They've got tremendous team chemistry. This team has been together for a few years, so they know each other very, very well. And Tom can make adjustments as well as anybody in the business. Hall of Fame coach. One of the best to ever do it. Will probably go down as the second best coach in Big Ten history behind Bobby Knight, in my opinion. So you got one of the best coaches. You've got a team that has the probably the best chemistry among the Big Ten teams and maybe around the country. You already saw that they came back and beat Kentucky in overtime. They had Gonzaga right there. First game of the season, they had Gonzaga, and they battled to a basket. This team, Michigan State, to me, I'm going to go ahead and say it, they have Final Four potential. I know y'all said, like, Bardo's crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. I'm telling you, if they stay healthy, now I don't know if they'll win the Big Ten because it's just a gauntlet. I don't know that the conference or the conference tournament winner can get to a Final Four. I don't know if that can happen. I think college basketball in the NCAA tournament is fast becoming like the NHL playoffs, the NFL playoffs, and the NBA playoffs. It's not necessarily the best team throughout the regular season. It's the team that's playing the best at that time. And there's not There's not a coach in the Big Ten that does a better job of having his players playing their best basketball in March than Tom Izzo. So you heard it here first. If I'm saying a big if this Michigan State team can stay healthy, they have a chance at the Final Four run. Dion Hoops Pays. What's up, Dion? You call a lot of Candace Parker's games. Your thoughts and history of the WNBA. And at 35, she's this past year made all NBA first team. Very impressed by her age. How good. Candace Parker is a GOAT. Candace Parker is a GOAT, one of the best of games ever seen, not just women. She's one of the best game of basketball's ever seen. Unique skill set at 6'5". I think she was frustrated with the way the season ended. It'd be interesting to see if she comes back. I know that there's been talk about her possibly retiring. I'm not sure. I hope not, because she's been great for the game. She's a great ambassador. She's a wonderful color analyst. She does great work on television. So I know that she'll be around the game. I'm impressed. I love the WNBA. I think it's great basketball. The ladies are uber skilled. The game is fun to watch. They play fundamentally sound. They're terrific athletes in the league, and they're competitive as hell. So I love it. Moni Williams, what's up, Moni? How's it going against Chris? How was it going against Chris Jackson in college? I've seen somewhere he said he had 27 points with 9 minutes left in the game. What made Chris Jackson so tough? Oh, Moni. I guess we're just going to go I've been on for an hour and 6 minutes. I'm going to go as long as y'all want to go because y'all are asking some great questions here today. So me and Kendall were tag teaming playing Chris Jackson, a.k.a. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. And I'm going to call him by his current name. Mahmoud is one of the best players I've ever played against. He was fantastic. And I'm smiling because he torched my ass. I'm just going to call it what it is. He torched me and Kendall's asses. Couldn't do nothing with him. Kendall tells a story. And Kendall started the game on him. So Mahmoud comes up the floor. He put a move and got into his jump shot so quickly that Kendall was still in his defensive stance and he didn't know what happened until he heard the crowd clap. I'm telling you, true story. Kendall's in his defensive stance and the ball's going through the hole. That's what it was like guarding Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. He was the quickest guard I've ever seen. His shot release was the quickest I've ever seen. His handle, you think Kyrie Irving can handle? He can. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf's handle is on the level of Kyrie Irving. Could get to anywhere on the floor, regardless if there's a 6'6" dude like me, a 6'5" dude like Kendall, and cats behind us waiting for him. It didn't matter. Couldn't do nothing with him. And Moni, he fouled out with 9 minutes because he couldn't guard us. Now, we took it to him on the other end. So he had to guard me at 6'6" or Kendall at 6'5". And we just took him in the paint and drove him and got him in foul trouble. He fouled out with 9 minutes and had 27 points. I think I allowed, in my career as a defender, I think Glenn Rice had 29 in the Final Four game. Chris Morris in the Illini Invitational, he was playing for Auburn. He dropped 31 in my eye, all of them. And I think Danny Manning got us probably for like 27. But those are full games. Those cats played the whole game. Chris would have gave us 40 had he not fouled out. That's what it was like guarding Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Great question, Moni. Thank you for that. Okay, M. Brotz. Yeah, I brought up Iowa. I don't know if it's Iowa's issues, M. Brotz. It's you got to give Nebraska credit. They held. Let me go back here and pull up this banner. Where's the Iowa? Here it is. All 5 Huskers players scored in double digits. That's not easy to do. and they held the Hawkeyes at 26% field goal shooting. That's excellent defense. So I don't necessarily think anything is wrong with Iowa per se. You got to tip your hat to Nebraska. They've been playing inspired defense all season, Northwestern level defense all season. So I don't know if it's as much a knock on Iowa as it is giving Nebraska ups for the way that Fred Hoiberg has them playing, right? And Fred, I'm sure Nebraska hasn't gotten a lot of love, and I'm going to give them some right now. Fred Hoiberg is an offensive guru, and yet they've got one of the best defensive teams in the Big Ten. That's coaching. So big ups to the Nebraska Huskers and Fred Hoiberg. That's an outstanding job of what he's been able to do with some guys that have been in the program for a few years, and he's got some impact transfers as well. And their chemistry and their blending very, very well. Emmanuel Bandamel is a guy that Fred Hoiberg raves about. Talks about him being a character guy, a glue guy, a program guy. And he has been instrumental in gelling that team. So I wouldn't say necessarily that it was, if in Brats that Iowa is necessarily bad. I just think they ran to a buzzsaw in Nebraska last night. Netta Johnson, Mr. Bardo, did you ever see Cheryl Miller play basketball at USC and for Team USA? How great was she, and describe her style of play if you could? Cheryl Miller, wow. I'm trying to figure out a modern day woman. Well, Candace Parker like. Cheryl Miller was out. Cheryl Miller beat people before the ball went up. She scored, I think she scored 100 points in a high school game herself. I believe she did. I need go back and check that, Netta, if you would. I think Cheryl Miller scored 100 points herself in high school, I believe. Cheryl is 6'4", 6'3", 6'4". Crazy handle. Like women in that era, if you were 6 foot and above, you back to the basket. I mean, no question. Cheryl was so ahead of her time. Cheryl was about 25 years ahead of her time. She could have dominated the WNBA right now. She would be Angel McCoughtry, Phoenix Mercury, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, all wrapped into one. Cheryl Miller was tough. She's the best women's player I've ever seen. And there's a bunch of great ones. Cheryl Miller's the best women's basketball player I've ever seen. I hope that answers your question, Netta. I think Ed Horton was on that. How can I forget? Easy Ed Horton. Thank you, Sean Raw. Ed and Easy Ed Horton is an oxymoron because wasn't nothing easy about Ed Horton. Tough as nails. Tough. Springfield, Illinois native. Hated playing against that dude. Love him now. Great dude. Oh, man. That dude chewed railroad ties and spit out nails. He was tough. Great call, Sean. Great call. Let's see. What's up, Fletcher? Just got on. I know I missed a lot, but I saw Illinois coach maybe in hot water, but great show. Illinois, no. Coppin State's coaches in hot water. You guys go look up that Coppin State situation. They play at Rutgers tonight on Big Ten Network. It is an emerging national story that is going to get a lot of play. And you guys heard it here first if you haven't heard about it. Go on Twitter, type in Coppin State scandal, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's really sad. It's predatory in nature. And Juan Dixon, the head coach at Coppin State, I'd be surprised if he's coaching beyond. I'd be surprised if he coaches tonight. But lawsuit from a former player of his, it's not good, y'all. But Brad Underwood, no. The fan base is in hot water because they're upset about the way the team played. Coach Underwood is fine. Marcus Liberty, do you feel his game was ahead of his time? Yes, I think Marcus Liberty just, and I know I'm going to get criticized for people. Marcus Liberty, Illinois was not the best fit for him. It just wasn't. He could have gone other places. And no knock on Lou Henson. He was one of the best college coaches in the history of the game. Thus, why he'll be in the Hall of Fame. But Lou didn't have the foresight to understand how to best utilize Marcus Liberty. So if Marcus was in a different situation, his skill set would have blossomed because he was Marcus was an unreal talent. And yes, he was way ahead of his time. Marcus, believe it or not, had the ability to play point guard. He could handle the ball that well at 6'8". Crazy athlete, bouncy, quick. Wasn't like Olympic fast, like from running, but shifty and quick at 6'8" and handle. Oh, and jumper. He had a flame jumper. Marcus was a beast. Just Illinois just wasn't the right situation for him. But yes, way ahead of his time. Ty looks great, but he seems scared to take it hard to the rim. Do you think it is a result of his early game foul troubles? Marsman, good to see you. Thanks for joining. I'm not sure if it's that. I think he's just trying to find his role on the team, like all these other guys. Illinois plays a lot of people. And so it's tough when you play 10, 11 guys for you to get your rhythm because you're not playing 25, 30 minutes. You might be playing 18 to 22 minutes. So it's harder to get your rhythm under those circumstances. But I think with time, he'll work it out. The Michigan State team have any NBA players? I think Joey Hauser has a chance to play at the next level. Malik Hall in certain situations could be a stretch for. In certain situations, I think he could have an opportunity. Jay Nakins, I think, has a chance. He's athletically got a chance. He's got to stay healthy. So they've got a few guys that have a chance at cracking an NBA roster. Not TJD. He's too one-dimensional. Yeah, Thomas, he's one-dimensional, but he's damn good at it. Trace Jackson Davis is strong, athletic, fast, and determined. And he's got a motor. He plays with a motor. So he might be one-dimensional, but that one dimension, people they haven't figured out how to stop yet. Gene Bolhorst. Gene Bolhorst. Love your response. Thanks, young man. Love the show. Thank you, Gene. Appreciate it. Hey, listen, guys, if you like this show and you think you know people that you think would enjoy it as well, please like and share and comment. It really helps the growth of the show. And we've got a nice little Bardo's Breakdown community that, I've been doing this for like 5 years. And I've got a tribe where it's the inner circle of Bardo's Breakdown. They've been rocking with me since day one. And I think I can give a unique perspective on things in college basketball that you may not hear everywhere else, because I'm going to be honest, sometimes to a fault. I don't mean to hurt people's feelings. I don't mean to ruffle feathers, but I like honesty. Unfortunately, in this country, a lot of people don't like honesty. A lot of systems and institutions don't prefer honesty. I do. So if you want honest takes on college basketball and Big Ten in particular, you're in the right place. So if you know of people who want to know the truth and like honesty and want a refreshing take on things, please share this show with those people. Like and comment on it. It really helps. Thank you, Gene. I really appreciate that. Yes, the guard Walker. You talking about you talking about Walker from Michigan State. I don't know if he's big enough. I don't know if he has a size, and he's not. If you're Tyson Walker's size, you got to be elite athletically to be in the NBA, and I'm not sure he's elite. Yeah, I agree with Captain Fletcher about the HBCUs and getting a better chance to get TV revenue and all that. There's no doubt about it. Mike Waldboozer, what's up, Mike? What do you think about Illini women's basketball start? Haven't been paying attention. I heard it's really good. My play-by-play partner last night, Jason Ross Jr., is staying in Champaign because he's got Illinois versus Iowa women. Caitlin Clark, one of the best players in college basketball, men or women. Iowa plays Illinois, I believe, New Year's Day. So the women, Illini women got a win at Wisconsin last night. They're playing well. I like this new coach. I haven't seen a full game yet, but I think they're doing well. Good to see you, Michael. Thanks for always joining. Thanks for your support, my man. I appreciate it. Happy holidays. Let me get to some. Let me stay on the Big Ten stuff. David Johnson, good to see you. Great job last night on the Illini broadcast. Especially love the Bardo moments of photos, the McNugget moment. You're fun to listen to, man. Keep up the great work. Thank you, David Johnson. I really appreciate that. I don't take that lightly, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously, I really, really appreciate that. I take great pride in what I try to do on the air and representing the networks that I work with, representing the programs that we're covering. And so thank you for that feedback. It does not go unnoticed. I really appreciate that. Thank you, David Johnson. That means a lot. Matt Foster, I love Bethune-Cookman's coach last night. Class act. His kids fought to the end. Crazy that Bethune only has 3,000 student body and good still. Reggie Theus, y'all. I don't think people really understand how good a player Reggie Theus was. This dude could score in a phone booth. He was a baller. He was like a GQ magazine. He was a walking GQ magazine. He was like, he got overshadowed by Dr. J. I'm telling you guys, Reggie Theus has his own aura. Like Dr. J's got this sophisticated, he was smooth. He was dapper. He was congenial to people. He was nice to the media. Reggie Theus, man, I'm telling you, Reggie Theus could score that ball. Kansas City Kings, Chicago Bulls. The ladies loved him. He's a good-looking dude. He's been on Hang Time. He was a coach on Hang Time. He's an actor. He's got acting credits. He's coached at New Mexico State. I think he was at UC. I think he was at Cal Fullerton for a minute. He's got multiple stops. And the fact that he's the head coach and athletic director, and he sees the vision of where Bethune-Cookman needs to go, it's a great fit. Great fit. Okay, Captain Fletcher, there it is. Cheryl Miller scored 105 points back in 1982. 1982, y'all. She's way ahead of herself. Wait a minute. Why is that not hitting? There it is. Man. Bardo, did you ever play against Michael Jordan? Oh, yeah. Not in a game, but I worked out against a lot here in Chicago. And when he was trying to make his comeback. So I worked out against him a lot. And I know Michael well. Love MJ. Love him. Good dude, man. Michael is cool, y'all. Seriously. He's a real dude. And he doesn't let all that stuff get to his head. He'll talk to you like a regular human being. He's a great dude. Let's see. Let me get to somebody else here. Linnea Johnson. I don't know that I've seen you before. Thoughts on North? No, I'm not talking about North Carolina. Robert Glenn Blackwell. Steve, I will start sharing. Really proud of you and your accomplishments on the other side of the court. Black. This is my college teammate, y'all. My brother from another mother. Robert Glenn Blackwell. Tough lefty, 6'5" guard out of Highland Park, Michigan. Has made a transformation from a college student athlete to a tremendous, tremendous father, husband, athletic director, and a guy that really pulls for people in general. He's one of the best human beings I've ever known. I love the dude. His son, Jonathan, will be playing with the Wisconsin Badgers next year. Didn't see fit to send Jonathan down to Illinois. Black, you know I'm playing with you, bro. You know I love you, and I love the fact that Jonathan will be a Wisconsin Badger next year. And Greg Gard and the staff are ecstatic to have him. They are so pleased that he's coming into the fold. He's coming into one of the best programs in the Big Ten and one of the best programs in the country. And the blessings of a father bless their sons and their sons. And that's exactly what you're seeing with Glenn Blackwell, one of the best to do it. Love you, Black. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support. Let me see. Let me get somebody else. Marsman. Reggie was ahead of his time, but could score on anyone anytime he wanted. Too bad the Bull did not put more around him. Oh, he's talking about Reggie Theus. Reggie Theus was a beast. Beast. Jim Mo Strunk. Hey, Joe, or Jim, sorry about that. How you doing? Hey, Steven, ever seriously thought about getting into coaching? Hell no. No. I like being able to see my family and friends when I want, outside of when I've got broadcasting responsibilities. That coaching industry is very difficult. It's rewarding, but it's very, very difficult. It's tough on families. It's tough on the coaches, health-wise. It's a grind. And I'm a grinder, but I prefer to grind in situations that I can control a little bit more. I have control issues. And as a coach, if you have control issues, you're not going to last long because you can't control young people. You can encourage them. You can influence them. You can coach them up. You can't control them. And there are aspects of coaching that would drive me crazy. I couldn't go into a home and lie to parents about their kids being, parents like, well, are you going to be able to make them into an NBA player? Hell no. Because your kid's not an NBA player. He can be a good college player. If you come and play for me, I'll make sure that he graduates. If he busts his tail and works his tail off, then maybe he could have a chance of playing the NBA. But he's not an NBA player right now. You're not going to get if you recruit like that, what I just gave you, you're not going to get anybody. You have to lie to parents. Remember what I said earlier? That people don't like honesty and the truth. That's one reason why I can't coach. Because if I'm coming into the home and I've got to lie to parents about what their expectations are of me and their child, then I might as well go coach at junior college or high school. So I don't have to deal with that mess because I like to live my life with integrity. I'm not a liar. So and look, I'm not saying that to knock coaches. Coaches are doing exactly what they have to do to win. You got to get players. And if you got to lie to get players, then you got to lie. But that's just an aspect that I don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with. So, no, I'm not serious. My mother Lana Gail Bardo, my mother, is one of the smartest people on the planet. Dick Nagy, God rest his soul, my assistant at Illinois. He was in line for a coaching position. I think it was Bradley or Western Illinois or something. I'm playing in the CBA in Quad City. And Dick Nagy says, Steven, I'm up for this position. I'd really love to have you as an assistant. I think you'd be a great coach. So I got kind of excited. And, I called home and talked to mom and dad. And I wasn't calling them for that. I was just calling, checking on them, whatever. And the topic came up. And I said, hey, Dad, and Mom and Dad, Coach Nagy wants me to consider going into coaching. And my dad got quiet. And my mom said, Stephen Dean, like when your parents say your middle name, they're trying to get a point across. She said, Stephen Dean, do you want to put your future in the life, your future and your life in the hands of a bunch of 18, 22-year-olds like you? Because at the time I was 22. I just started playing professional basketball. And she said that, and then she said it again. Are you prepared to put your future and your family's future in the hands of 18 to 22-year-olds like you? And I thought for a second. I said, hell no. No, because I was crazy. You're crazy at 18 and 22. You're not fully formed. Men's frontal lobes don't even develop fully until you're the age of 30. And so I thought about it. I was like, no. My mom is on Lanigale Bardo is on point, baby. She kept me from a lot of heartache. I also had an opportunity later on. I guess, I can say it now because everybody's out. Ron Gunther was the athletic director at University of Illinois. Bruce Weber was the head coach. They offered me an associate head coaching position that I seriously considered taking. And it really helped because I went back to ESPN, who I was working with at the time, and I told them, hey, this offer's come up. Just a heads up. They gave me extra money to stay. And I turned down the Illinois job. It was intriguing. But my dad stepped up again and said, Stephen, do you like seeing Stephen, Paul, and Landon, my two sons? He said, do you like seeing them when you have the opportunity? He said, you won't see your kids. If you take that job, you won't see your kids. You won't see your family. Do you really want to do that? He said, that coaching grind is tough. He said, do you really want to do that? Now, I thought about it. I was like, nope. I love what I'm doing. So, Jim, great question. You took me back down memory lane a little bit. I hope that answered your question. Joe Stovall, tribe member since day one. This is my man. Happy New Year. Thanks for providing the best forum for the most knowledgeable folks who love basketball. We need an in-person discussion about the state of college basketball with multiple tribe members. Joe, I've been thinking about that. Joe is an original tribe member. I'm going to have an event around the Big Ten Conference tournament here in Chicago. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get a bar restaurant. I'm going to have you guys come in as tribe members. I'm going to take care of your drinks, and we're going to have an in-person discussion, and we're going to film it because I think there'll be clippets. You guys that are, I noticed there's a lot of people who are first-time listeners. My YouTube channel is blowing up because of some of the line-eye discussion we've had. The original tribe members like Joe Stovall, Carol Paquette, Dawn Green, Kevin Meister, some other Michael Payne, some of the other members. These people are extremely knowledgeable about the game. Joe Stovall comes with some seriously good points. I don't always agree with them. And that's the great thing about this platform. My name is on it, but the tribe members in the group make this platform. It's not me. I help. And I provided the platform, but it's not me that makes this what it is. It's the tribe members like Joe Stovall that come really strong with great points and questions about what's going on with the Illini, what's going on with Big Ten teams, and what's going on in college basketball. So, Joe, I got you. Let's keep in touch about the way that we could pull this together. But I'm going to find a place. I'm thinking Theory Sports Bar. My boy Joel, who owns Theory Sports Bar on Hubbard, is an Iowa Hawkeyes grad. So I better get to him quick because there's probably some Iowa Hawkeyes people who are thinking about doing something around the Big Ten Conference tournament. But that week, maybe that Monday, we do a live Bartles breakdown from Theory or a sports bar like that. So I've been thinking about that, Joe. So great minds think alike. Thank you, brother. Thank you for supporting. Let me throw this up again. For those of you all who want to be a part of the tribe, text me. This is the inner circle of Bartles breakdown, 312-847-2739. I will not blow your phone up. I'm not that dude. I'm 54 going on 55 years old. I don't stay on the phone for hours. So I won't blow you up, but I will give you behind the scenes looks at my journey around college basketball and some insight to give you more knowledge about what you're watching. So if you like this, join the tribe. Text me to 312-847-2739. If you want to join the email list, you can do that as well. Go to stephenbardo.com/college-bardo-newsletter. I send this out once a week. It's growing. I've got about 540 people that really enjoy the newsletter. So if you want to join Bardo's Breakdown newsletter, hit me up, stephenbardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. Thank you, Joe. As always, brother, always appreciate your support and you bringing it strong. Carol Pole Paquette, tribe member. I would love it if all the tribe members could meet in Champaign. What are your thoughts, Stephen? Well, then we need to do two of them. We need to do one in Champaign and one in Chicago. I'm thinking the one in Chicago will be around the Big Ten Conference Tournament. I'll try to figure out a date because I've got a few Illinois games coming up. Maybe I can get a date. I'll check my schedule. And the day before a game, I'll get to Champaign and we'll try to figure out a location to allow tribe members first. But I'm going to open it up to Illini fans as well because I think there needs to be a deep discussion around Illini basketball, especially in this new era of the portal transfer portal and NIL. Dave Crosby, you would get the player. Not if I told the truth, Dave. Not if I told the truth. Curtis Dietz. Can I recommend Twin Peaks and Oak Brook for the gathering? I've heard good things about Twin Peaks, Curtis. I'm not sure that Oak Brook would be a centralized location for people who are in the Chicagoland area. Maybe. But thank you for that, Curtis. Shoot me a message, man, and let's talk about that. All right. Woo. I thought I was going to come on here for about 15, 20 minutes to give an update. But you know what? I got to give the people what they want. You all support me, and I love supporting you. Joe Stovall says Neal Street Blues in Champaign for Carol and the folks in Champaign. Okay, Joe, if you know somebody at Neal Street Blues, hook a brother up. I'll reach out to him, see what's going on. I'd love to. Thank you. You see this community, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time listeners, it's just a back and forth. We support each other. We love, and the thing that keeps all of us in this forum, in this group, we all love college basketball. Okay. And we can love the NBA. We can love WNBA. We love football, whatever. But this forum is about college basketball, in particular, Big Ten basketball, in particular, University of Illinois basketball. Okay. So if you fall in one of those concentric circles, you love college basketball, you love Big Ten basketball, you love the Illini, you're in the right place. Okay. So please share and like to others that you think might enjoy this content. I really appreciate you guys joining me today. This has been fun, man. I did not expect to be on this long, but I'm glad I did. Thank you guys for making my day. Thank you for making this platform for what it is. And enjoy the rest of your holidays. Love your family. Reach out. Listen, I want to say this before I get off. Reach out to those strong men and women who seem to have it all together. This is a very difficult time for people who have it all together. Oh, I'm great. I'm fine. Check on them. Call them. Stop by. See them. Drop in on them. Just check, because the toughest appearing people are the ones that need it the most. So check in on your friends, your family, your loved ones that have it all together, that I'm fine, I'm tough, that seem to support the family. Check in on them, please, because this is a tough time for those people. Love your family, kiss your kids, enjoy the present. That's why it's spelled Present. It's a present to be present. Love you all. Happy holidays. Peace, y'all.